All right, we're live into the leverage community. And I know we had a few people excited about this one, me included. I always like interviewing you because you're running a group of virtual assistants and in-house staff. So it's cool to see that combination, which I think is an awesome combo because I'm doing something similar. But I want to talk about running your brokerage, so real estate brokerage, this way. And I know we touched on it a little bit before, kind of like outlining who's at the top and then the breakdown, right?
And I have my slides ready. If you want me to bust those out, just let me know.
Perfect, which I will, but I want you to set the premise and tell us, which the slides might do for us, but tell us how that looks on agent count, virtual staff count, and in-house count staff.
So we have right now, as of today, I believe we're at 79 brokers. So we have those brokers are, completely all virtual, even though they're here, right?
Okay.
Whole brokerage is run virtually. So they never have to come to the office, not at all.
Okay.
Then we have 2 staff in office, which those are my right hand, and my virtual assistants are my left hand. The staff in office, mail. We have our in-house transaction coordinator here. We have just amazing people here in the office that I adore, that are just hard workers and they get stuff done. They communicate with the virtual staff as well. You've got to have synergy. No matter what type of office you have to have synergy between all the staff. So it's amazing because we talk via Facebook Messenger, Zoom, Signal, WhatsApp, you name it. We communicate all the time, and we're using different, ways to communicate, but we always have a consensus and we work together, even though we're all over the world. So.
Yeah, I like that. So can you tell me, before we get into your slides, unless it's there, what your right-hand person does for you that's in-house? Like, what is that, like your director of operations?
Yeah, pretty much. They do a little bit of everything, it's the catch-all. They're here in office because I'm actually not even in office, like 4 days out of the week. I'm only in office Wednesdays, which is today. So if it's answering phones, which, we can forward phones, that's not the biggest deal. But if someone needs to come in and do printing, if someone, has to film something, because we have a lot of filming done in our office, right? We've got the green screen and the lights and all that set up. So a lot of brokers come here to film. So coordinates, parties that are going to be happening, because now we can actually do that. So they really do everything. It's kind of the catch-all. So
I like that. Very good. All right. So let's get into your slides.
All right. Let me share my screen.
Cool.
Here we go. So building your virtual office. A lot of times I think people, this is just like a little bit about me for those of you who don't know me. I'm Lorraine Baldwin. I've got 22 years of experience in the real estate industry. I've owned 6 real estate brokerages. I've done deals all over the world.
Nice.
I've personally owned, this says 100, but it's closer to about 300 different properties, including multifamily, single family, a resort down in the Dominican Republic, commercial buildings, just, been really, I say I like to buy houses like some women like to buy shoes.
Wait, is that still the case?
It is. I absolutely love it. I'm like searching for the off-market deals right now, and it's hilarious because I'll be sitting there at 11:30 at night, just exhausted from the day. But then I'll find something and be like, "Ooh, I might need this. So I've coached and trained over 300 brokers, and I've worked in 4 states. So that's me quickly, right? I also am a mother of 5. So I have a 1-year-old up to next week. My oldest turned 17. So.
All right. Wow, that's a good range.
Yeah, I get the joy of baby and teenage. It's great.
Jeez.
So this is a little bit about my offices before. This is like a standard office.
Okay.
Because I've done 5 standard brokerages, and now I'm in the virtual brokerage. I did a 25-75% split. I know people always like their face goes into shock when I say that. It was because we provided leads and they had no fees basically to the brokerage. That's why we took such a large split, because I was really pushed to make them produce that way.
Nice.
We did rent, computers, office. Those are all expenses. I had 2 admins in the office. I had multiple mentors that would help day to day with brokers, because at that point we had about 150 brokers. So I couldn't train all of them fully myself. I ran the classes and did all of the training binders, all of that stuff, but I couldn't be the one to answer everyone's questions. I was the designated broker, and then I also had managing brokers. So that's a little bit about that. This kind of goes over the offline expenses for a non-virtual brokerage. So it kind of gives you, here you go. This is what you're looking at. And these were my actual expenses. So clearly those things can change.
Yeah.
Right. I understand rent in Malibu is not going to be $3,500 a month. Right.
Well, I mean, if I want like 200 square feet, yes.
Here's your square, Tristan. Stay there. So yeah, but this was my actual expenses. This brokerage was in Tacoma, Washington. And so that's what we had, right? I didn't want to make up numbers and say, okay, this is what we have. Now, 80% of businesses went online during the pandemic, and that's how we've been able to double our numbers here at Nexus. I took over as designated broker last June, and a lot of people were still paying their office fees. They were paying, for a pretty big amount of expenses for something they couldn't even go in and use.
Okay.
It also woke a lot of people up, made them realize, oh, wow, I don't need my office. Look at this. I'm able to work from home. I mean, I look at your setup that you've got, which I have loved watching you design. I feel like I'm kind of watching like a Chip and Joanna show with you in your office. I'm like, what's he gonna do next? Where's the Baby Yoda picture going? So Grogu.
I should update. I should do an update.
Yes, we're all waiting. So that's the thing, though. A lot of people realize, oh, I can take this corner of my house, or I'm going to take over this room and really make this a functional office. And that was due to being forced to do it. But people are realizing the benefit of having that there. And so that's really made a huge difference. It's not just the real estate industry that's seen this, it's companies across the board where they're really realizing they can save on rent if they have people working remotely. So that has been like I feel like our biggest kind of shove, push forward, saying, here, you can save all this money if you go to a virtual brokerage, because you're not paying for the office space, even though we do have office space. So I understand we're kind of like a hybrid model, because there are virtual brokerages that don't have office space whatsoever for brokers to come into. Yep. But we're kind of a hybrid model. That's how I like to look at it. We're like the Toyota Prius.
Oh, actually. I like the Toyota Prius.
I like the gas mileage. So I drive a giant SUV with all my kids. So I dream of having lower gas prices. So that was really the big thing, and the big push that we've had is not having to pay for the office space when you don't use one. So now we're going to get into the virtual company structure.
Okay.
And
Will you be sharing these slides, or
I can send them.
Perfect. Well, we can
Yeah.
have Sarah or the team send it over to everybody that registered.
Yeah,
All right,
that'd be great.
Let's do that.
So here's the virtual company structure, right? You've got, oh, hold on. I clicked the wrong button. I was trying to move the little bar so I could read it. Okay, so you've got the lead generation manager, who in our case is a VA. He manages all the lead generation remotely. We have a managing broker who came to us from Compass, and he's amazing because he steps in and fills in on questions from brokers. Just with the volume of brokers, we just had a forms change March 3rd. And so it's been an insane amount of questions.
Okay.
So having a managing broker, I think a lot of times people think just one designated broker or one managing broker is enough. And it's really not. Once you get over about 25 to 30 brokers, it's nice to have a second set of eyes and second person to answer questions. Then we have a virtual office manager who is a VA, right?
Ooh.
Then we have transaction coordinator, and we have a combination of those. We have transaction coordinators who are VAs, and then we have an in-house transaction coordinator as well.
I love this. I'm taking a picture of it right now.
Ooh, I feel so special. Tristan took a picture of it. We got a marketing manager who does the amazing job on our social media and putting together different presentations and things of that nature, like our listing presentation, updating that, buyers packets, just always keeping things up to date and fresh. And I love that when you have a virtual company, you are emailing out and sharing everything online. And so people will give suggestions, and it's always like a growing document. It's not sedentary. I really just feel like we are more fluid and we move at a faster speed than that print stuff.
That is so true. You know that? I agree with you, because we get to see these big companies that it just move at so freaking slow pace. It's like, can you guys move a little faster? Because our world in real estate moves so fast.
And you see it a lot where they're not keeping up with the times. I mean, we've got like TikTok videos out. We've got, all kinds of fun stuff, which, by the way, total side note, I love your TikTok. I follow you on there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, if you don't follow him on TikTok, you're missing out. I feel like that's where you're at your funniest, and you're kind of like a little less professional, but it's so great. I love your TikTok.
Thanks.
So I know, but that's the great thing, is we don't have to go through 10 different layers of approval. It's, hey guys, let's put something together. What are we going to do for this week's video? What are we going to say? What topics do we want to cover? And we get it out. And then we also have our growth manager, who in our case is a VA and does the recruiting, making sure that we have all the correct documentation for each broker that we add, making sure they're added to all of our Facebook groups, that they know how to follow us on different social medias. All of that good stuff is handled by them.
I love that. That's good. Good details on that.
Yeah, so this goes over kind of what I just did, right? It goes a little bit more in depth, talking about the virtual office manager. Like I said, we do have someone in-house that does answer some of the phone calls, but we can always forward it to our virtual office manager after hours and things of that nature. So they don't just get an answering machine, they can actually talk to a live person. Onboarding new agents, that's something that's done in our case by the growth manager as well as the office manager.
I like that.
Providing daily support to agents when they have questions about different things, they can go ahead and get that information. Whether it's ordering cards, ordering signs, and all of that is on our back end website. and we use BrokerMint, but you can log in there and we have a link to our W-9. We have our NAID numbers. We have our entire collection of Nexus University, which is all the trainings that we do. We record them so people can watch those. All of it's right there. So a lot of times it's a matter of just saying, here, go check out this video. They also order office supplies. So if we need stuff in the office, they can do that. Transaction coordinator, I think, all brokers know what transaction coordinators do. They basically help us along in the transaction so we actually get them to close. Reviewing contracts, paperwork, making sure that we are meeting deadlines. What's up, Tristan?
Question on the virtual office manager.
Sure.
When you're setting up the trainings, where are you placing those trainings? Like, is it on Dropbox, Google? Is it Trainual?
We have it on YouTube.
Oh, and you use private links for that? Is that what you're doing? Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
Yeah. So we have all of our trainings that we've done on forms, like all that stuff, and we just put it all on there so that all of our brokers have access. So a lot of times it's as simple as saying, hey, did you watch this training? Here, go watch that.
Got it. Mm-hmm. Perfect. I like that.
And then our marketing manager, of course, the video editing, marketing materials that I talked about, buyer's packet, seller's packet, content creation for social media, of course, that's huge. Our growth manager, like I said, the cold calls, follow-up emails, conducting research on cold and warm leads. We keep track of, different people who, when they're considering moving, what their concerns were. If we can hashtag them in the system. So if we have people that were concerned about, us hitting phase 2 or whatever it is, then we'll check back with those people. And so we just kind of run what we need to get done for that time. And then of course, lead gen, you've got to have lead gen. Just for getting the name out there, for the brokers, all that good stuff. So they engage in the Facebook groups, LinkedIn, right? That's a huge one for recruiting. I love when people are like, where'd you get my information? And I'm like, you realize you're on every social media, right?
So true.
So then of course, managing broker, which I talked about, they're amazing. I love having the extra set of eyes and ears to answer questions and also just do extra trainings. I like to do at least one training a week. And a lot of times in markets like this, when forms and, people are pulling out different parts of the purchase and sale, you got to update that constantly. So, we have a talk with the managing broker where there's a Zoom meeting where the brokers can get on and talk to him at any time during that time Tuesday. So it's important to have not only the sales meeting, my training, but also another time, because they're not having the interaction in the office every day. I think it's important for them to have their cameras on and be participating in the virtual meetings. That's one of the things I've heard about other virtual brokerages where they use like avatars versus actual pictures. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate having the actual pictures because you get the ability to get to know people and what they look like. And it really does give you the option to feel like the person, even if you've never met them in person.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So there's the online office expenses.
Ooh, okay. Let's see here. What's the most expensive thing? The designated broker is the most expensive one. Makes sense.
Yeah. So you get to take that out if you're your own designated broker. I'm just going to run and shut a door really quick because I hear background noise. So
go kick some people. Go.
Oh, it's okay. Sarah got it. I was like, I'm going to do this. And then it's like, boom, it's done. See, in office, so important.
Love that.
Yeah. So this is really kind of the nuts and bolts. And you can see a lot of the salaries of the online, the VA, is insanely low considering how much work you're having done. That's, I think, one of the greatest benefits of having VAs, virtual assistants versus in office, because of course in office is going to be much higher priced.
Got it. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, and this is of course the big kicker that everybody wants to know about
Yeah.
is commissions, right?
Okay.
This net commission where we make a big difference is the net commission that brokers take home. Even
Yep.
if they were at, a 70-30 split, it adds up real quick. So that is my presentation, my thing. So I want
to go a little deeper on a couple of things here. Hold on. I took a picture. Did I take a picture? I did. Where is it? I want to go and a little deeper on something I took a picture on one of your slides. So let me share it and then you can tell me what's up. Can you see?
Okay.
Okay. So the virtual company structure, you've got the designated broker. They're virtual, right?
I am.
Okay, perfect. All right. So then from there, I want to start at the top on the lead generation manager. Is that person in charge of creating opportunities, like actually calling up possible clients? All right. So tell me about that a little deeper than what you were doing.
So there's lead generation where they're following up, right? You've got someone who's clicked on what I call clickbait. They were looking at a house online. It's linked to, our KV core. We get their information, we capture it, we call them, we follow up, we see what they were looking for. There is absolutely that form of lead generation. Okay. Then there's also cold calling. We are desperate for listings right now. So we absolutely have VAs calling cold calling where you pay to get someone's number and information, so we have their address, name, phone number, and an email address, but they haven't requested information on selling their home. We're just absolutely cold calling, trying to get more than 3 weeks inventory.
Okay, cool. So with that, are they using like RedX or are they using a dialer?
Timble. We use Timble.
All right, and then where are you getting them from? Where are they getting the information from to call?
So we have farming lists that we pull from your title company, right? So I call up my Fidelity reps and I'm like, hey, Tanner, Brandon, this is what I need. This many houses around here that have lived there this long. I give them parameters for the people that are most likely to sell, because you don't want to waste your time, calling someone who just purchased 2 months ago. That doesn't make sense. And then we take those lists and we send them to either like IV Data or one of those services that you can sign up for, where you pull all the phone numbers and email addresses, because clearly the title company just gives you the recorded information, which is names and addresses for those locations, and we can see how long they've lived there. Yeah. So I use a variety of sources to pull those lists together.
Okay, cool. Because I was wondering on the lead gen. So tell me more on the lead gen side. Are you having your virtual staff that's outside of the country calling?
Yep. Okay. And it's interesting because people never have any idea that the person that called them is outside of the country. Like when I go on these appointments, because I'll go on some, right? Yeah. There's lead gen for the entire brokerage, but if there's nobody to take them or there's no one that is experienced and they want someone to go along with them, I go. So I'll go on those appointments, and it's so interesting because they're like, oh, he's so nice. He works up in Kirkland. And of course, the VA doesn't say I work in Kirkland. They're like, the office is in Kirkland. Yeah, and so it's so interesting that they have absolutely no idea. And I tell them, I'm like, well, that was Jay or Joey, and they were calling from the Philippines. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, they're virtual assistants. And it's great because I think a lot of people have kind of a notion that, that they're not going to have the same conversation or they're not going to be as personable. And I think it's completely the opposite. The VAs that I have through Virtudesk are amazing, and they have far and away exceeded my expectations of friendliness and getting appointments.
All right. So hold on. Don says you're a smart cookie. Don Kearney. Thanks, Don. Good job. Good job. All right. And then lastly, I know we got 3 minutes, but I want to talk about the growth manager. Is that person picking up the phone and also calling agents, like new?
Oh yeah. They
agents?
LinkedIn message them, Facebook message, they call, they go all across the board to reach out to brokers.
All right, that's super cool. So what's their schedule like? How many of these do you have? 1, 2, 3?
I have one.
Okay.
I have one who does that, and he does it full time.
Can you take me through the day of a growth manager?
Well, I can take you through the work day. I don't know about the whole day, but so, they get up, they check in, they say, what area they're concentrating on. If they know that a brokerage is being bought or sold, or they've talked to one broker there who said that there's a lot of people who are unhappy. Sometimes we concentrate on certain brokerages or areas, or it's, hey, I'm going to be spending the day searching LinkedIn today to see who's posting, who's participating, that type of information. When they're out looking on who to scout, it's not just a blanket, it's not just a free-for-all. We want producing brokers who are interested in upping their game and would fit well at a virtual brokerage.
I like that. Mm-hmm. All right, good. I think we could probably expand on all of these, which I love. Like I could totally see us going deeper on lead generation manager, because you can start hiring the lead generation. You could be like, okay, you're going to be just dialing cold leads every day, right? Then the next one's going to be, you're going to be calling our database, right? And then you could just go deeper and deeper. And the growth manager, in the same way, you could be like, okay, you're in charge of social media, right? LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. And you're going to work closely with the marketing team to be able to grow that as well. And then the other part, you're going to also have a specialty of picking up the phone and dialing cold and making sure, I would say, like making sure our current agents are still happy there. I love this. I just sent it to my team to dig deeper on.
And the other part about it is, for the lead generation manager, I love the fact that my brokers can also basically have their own lead generation managers to work their databases. And we really show them how to do it and how to grow it. And we've hooked up a lot of our brokers are having their own VAs that are doing like little mini pieces of this puzzle as well. And as they grow their teams, they're adding in the pieces that will make sense for them too.
Got it. I love that. I just sent that one over to a couple of people that requested it on Facebook. So I'm going to just post that one up in the leverage community.
Awesome.
That's really good. Lorraine, you rock. That was really good.
Thanks, Tristan.
You
rock.
We both rock.
Woo! Like, I just showed my age giving that sign. Woo! When you're over 40, you know what that means.
Rock on. All right.
Yep.
Thanks, Lorraine. Appreciate it. You're doing amazing things. We'll probably do this again and again just to expand on it.
Oh, I love to. I love talking about it and sharing it. And it's awesome opportunity, I feel like, for a lot of people. So.
All right. Well, thanks. Have an awesome day out in Seattle.
And you try and enjoy the rain down in California while the sun is pouring in.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Bye.